Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be continuing the rain time. So let's get right into this. Alright. Below it runs a narrow underpass which leads to a traffic island on the motorway. Cars flash by. I've just missed the bus to Burmisburg, and it's no use waiting here, as they only come once every hour. I decide to walk to town. I guess we're walking to town now. Carefully, I make my way along the narrow strip of gravel that separates the N723 from the fields beyond. The sun hasn't set, but there's a threatening field of cumulus clouds hanging in the sky, turning the motorway pitch black. This year, it hasn't snowed yet, and it won't be snowing anytime soon. 4 years ago was the last time we had a real cold down here. Since then, the winters have been mild and rainy. A little further down the road, a traffic light turns to red, and the line of cars gradually slows down. Beside me, a light blue sedan has come to a halt, its engine running. I can make out a woman behind the wheel with dark brown hair and youthful features. She looks my way for a second. Her image, contrasted by the lights outside, speaks a distant kindness, though it's as if she's staring right past me. I turn around but see nothing there. The light changes to green and she returns her attention to the road ahead. One by one, the cars are set in motion until she follows suit. And as she accelerates, she glances in my direction one last time before merging into the bright red procession that marks the N723. After walking for about half an hour, a flash lights up the sky. I cower, crawling up against the foliage, and as I try to calm myself down, I feel the raindrops coming down. I won't make it to the city before the storm breaks loose. I leave the motorway, hurrying past dark fields where winter crops grow until I reach Old Hope Town. Hey, Hope Town. I know a place called Hope Town. I enter the tabernacle. There's an older woman sitting at a table, dark hair, blue jacket, reading a book. The barman's talking to a regular. I order a beer and pick a seat at one of the windows, at a safe distance from the other guests. The walls here are covered with aerial photographs of farms. Probably farms in the vicinity, as I recognize parts of the N723 on one or two of them. The barman brings me a beer, and while I take first sip, I notice a pile of tabloid newspapers lying on the table. I open up the Evening Mirror. 1848. That's just great. A large text ad cries at me. A little further down the page, there's a feature piece about a litter of kittens who barely escaped a gruesome death. I drink some more beer, reading the gutter journalism and listening in on the mind-numbing conversation at the bar. And as I'm sitting there, with those aerial photos on the wall and the newspaper in front of me, I'm suddenly overwhelmed by a powerful sensation. As if my field of perception, which is usually so limited in range, has suddenly expanded greatly. I see people in the distant cities, in remote villages, inns. I can feel their breath, picture their faces, hear them mutter softly to themselves. And my mind drifts towards the boys in the diner, who are still going strong on their arcade machine. And as I picture them, in my initial anger towards the two slowly gives way to a kind of admiration. It shows discipline in a sense to play the same game night after night in that murky little restaurant of theirs. They must be experts by now. And those are my fellow countrymen, my peers, standing there. In the meantime, the curly-haired woman has put away her book and is now staring silently out the window. She's stroking her left forearm with her hand, tenderly as though it were wounded. Then a vibration against my outer thigh. I pick up the phone. William, where are you? I can barely make out Lars' voice. Shouting over a barrage of background noise. I'm sheltering from the rain, I reply, in Hopetown. I told you I'd be late. Speak up! I can't hear you! We're moving on to protest in a minute. What time you'll be here? I don't know, I replied as loud as I can. Depends on when it dries up. I'll call you when I'm in town. It's dry now, old cobbler. We'll be seeing you in a second. Match Skinell. Lars hangs up. What? And as I put away my phone, I noticed that the little inn is suddenly wrapped in complete silence. The barman and guests who've apparently followed my conversation closely are all looking in my direction. I smile at them awkwardly and move to pick up the newspaper, but I hesitate. Matters like these are precarious. I'm an outsider after all, making a loud phone call in here. I down my beer and step outside. It has indeed stopped raining. Oh. Ooh. When the reclamation of the artificial island had finally been completed, the government decided that a sprawling, modern city was to arise upon its soil. To avoid repeating the failures of the major urban planning initiatives of the time, which had already rapidly degenerated into characterless atrocities without social or aesthetic value, they appointed 12 city architects to design a distinct part of town. That way, each subdivision, the harbor, the university quarter, the city center, and numerous residential areas surrounding them, was developed and completed in strict isolation from each other. Bremensburg became a testing ground for the modernist architecture. In a frantic attempt to override all existing conventions, the architects designed fantastic buildings in every geometric form possible. A metropolis emerged that was like no other, with towers, balconies, false facades, and columns scattered as far as the eye could see. Ooh. Although for pedestrians the chaotic whole is still somewhat navigable. Cars get lost in labyrinth networks of the street, in which only the bored inner ring provides any sense of direction. It's especially in summer when Bremensburg is at its saddest, when the bright sun reveals in all its glory just how eerily the city comes together. It's in these moments that the forever lost traffic is at its busiest, causing the honking and roaring of the motorists to melt together into a disquieting groan. Yeah, these videos are like learning. I'm trying to English. I don't English. These help me English. In winter, however, when night falls early, the city truly comes into its own. As the corners and dead ends flood with shadows, its architectural peculiarities are obscured, merging the colors and textures of the different buildings, which are normally so contrasting, together into a homogeneous whole, with a visual complexity that's surreal to behold. During heavy rainfall, when the extensive drainage system is rendered incapable of disposing of all the water, streets turn into rivers, stairs turn into waterfalls, and basements into deep, dark pools. And the gutters and the drain pipes bring forth gurgling sounds, mysterious tones that respond throughout the streets in unfolding dissonance of gradually dissipating rainwater. Music stopped. Birds? Birds. The lake lies dark in front of me. Fresh winds are rapidly pushing away the rain clouds, revealing a yellow evening sky. A long breakwater has been built around the harbor of Brementsburg, extending far into the water. There was a piece in the Evening Mirror about a drunkard who'd fallen off it a few weeks ago. He was saved in the end by a homeless guy. I scratch my hair, which is almost dry now. A tension is building in my loins that gradually pushes me away from the lake. I could use this time more productively to prepare for a lecture or something like that. I chuckled. The music in protest is playing. Definitely loud. I look around the room for a moment without recognizing anyone and push past the bar towards the rear of the building where some lonely men are standing against the wall. Lars pounces me immediately. "William, it's about time!" he shouts, trying to make himself heard over the noise. What were you thinking walking all this way?" "I'm fine," I replied. "You guys need beers?" Lars gestured that he can't hear me, but I noticed Bernard raising his half-empty glasses, producing an affirmative cough. The bar's crowded with dark figures, men in their 30s, unshaven, some with baseball caps pulled far over their eyes. They're all drinking beer silently as the music's too loud for conversation. William can afford to buy us beers, even though he spends all his money on overdue fees. Matt shouts cheerfully as I return with 4 glasses. "My fine's gone up to $38.50, I call back. "Have you seen the cars those librarians drive nowadays?" Lars adds dryly. "But on a serious note," Matt starts, "you should probably rent a better place if you weren't for all that money you owe the library. I mean, something closer by, so you don't have to walk." "Listen, Matt," Lars interjects, "you don't know the first thing about the student housing situation around here. Your daddy set you up in a penthouse apartment, remember? That disqualifies your view on real estate. Now William here is a man of the people," he continues. "He rents in Rivalry because that's where the masses dwell. We aren't all equally privileged." "Shut up, Lars," I reply. "You're going off again." I drink some beer to calm my throat, which has become hoarse from all the shouting. Matt starts dancing one of his goofy dances, then I see him point towards his chest. "I got the shirt," he calls out towards Bernard, who frowns and looks the other way. After a few minutes, Evelyn joins us, pre-drunk and well. "Been waiting long?" she calls out. "No, not," Lars starts, but she cuts him off. "Who's buying the next round?" "No," Lars interjects, "we're leaving right now. Don't you dare order anything." God dang, that's loud. You look tired," Evan comments as we're on our way to the otter. "Tired?" I reply. "Me? I shouldn't be. I just got out of bed." She smiles in disbelief. Never mind. I pause, not knowing what to say. You know, Protus is a hellhole. "Oh yeah, it's filled with losers during the week, but it's okay on Saturday nights, you know. For picking up drunk desk jockeys." "Picking up drunk desk jockeys?" I inquire. "You do that lots?" "Well, you do that a lot." "Oh, not at all. But you get the idea." She casts me a teasing glance. "Still, it's a lot more fun on the weekends. Try it." Evelyn's more school teacher than seductress. She embodies a type of homely kindness, with her round cheeks and matronizing tone of voice, to the extent that I often feel like a small child in her presence. It started raining again, and by the time the five of us reached the water's pouring down from the skies. I hope you guys are enjoying. I'm actually having fun reading all this. It's quiet inside. Students are lounging around on the sofas, and a couple of old people are talking at the bar. I head for the restrooms. After carefully confirming I'm alone, I take a look in the mirror. My face appears exceptionally pale and skinny. I've been sleeping 11 hours a day. You end up skipping meals that way. And there's always that heavy feeling in my stomach as if I can't bear any solid foods. I dry off my washed out face with a piece of toilet paper and gently knock some color into my cheeks. On my return, there's a glass of beer waiting for me. Now the issue with you, Lars, Bernard exclaims loudly, is that you have some Oriental blood in you. That's why you can't discuss these topics in a rational manner. Matt laughs out loud. Bullshit, Lars replies. You know that's nonsense. I don't see how that's even relevant to the discussion. Oh, I'm sure you do, Bernard calls out with a sneer in his voice. You're missing my point, Lars continues. If a notorious apologist like Führer writes the 3,000 people were massacred, you can definitely question his numbers. Lars is using an overly grave demeanor that he always puts on when he's trying to win historical debates. It's annoying, but so is Bernard, so they cancel each other out. Come on, how many people are you going to shoot down with a M95? Bernard coughed loudly, sending a cascading echo through the bar. They were on that island for 2 months, tops. 3 months, Lars corrects him. Remember, Baby Jar? 30,000 dead in only 2 days. I really don't see the point you're trying to make. Baby Jar, why would you even bring that up? I'm about to interject, but I changed my mind. Look, I think the death toll of 3,000 is on the conservative side, Bernard continues soothingly. But you're clearly exaggerating. You people always want to blame us for everything. You people, Lars exclaims. Bernard, what are you implying? I told you I'm not Oriental. As a German lit major, I don't really excel in trivial knowledge, let alone history. But that's okay. I know other things. My analytical skills are a lot better developed than theirs. And there's that strange contentment I get from fathoming an old, forgotten piece of literature, a sensation that goes far beyond the worlds of dry facts. Something personal, not suitable for pub talk. Evelyn returns from somewhere. I finished my beer. William, you look pale. You should go outside more, Evelyn calls in my direction. I'm trying to think up a witty comeback, but I'm tired, and Matt beats me to it. What do you mean, go outside more? He's walked here all the way from Ryberry. From Ryberry, Evelyn gasps in surprise. Let's move to the sofa as I reply, wary of their morose banter. New guests arrive and shake out their coats. The barman pours drinks. Voices reverberate. It's warm. Someone hands me another beer. It's growing increasingly more difficult to follow the conversation. After a while, we're sitting at the wooden tables that stand against the back of the room. The chairs I'm sitting at is upholstered with a lovely green velvet that glides softly through my fingers like a damp moss. Electronics, wind instruments. But that's not true innovation. The electronics just add without changing the fundamental structures of the music. If a rock band uses a violin or a keyboard, it's nice as something's extra, but it doesn't threaten the holy trinity of guitar, drum, and bass. Just imagine, there are millions of bands. Every conceivable song has been written before. Every pop song Bernard interjects, but they ignore him. That's so stupid. I can hear from the way you're talking that you don't even have a basic comprehension of music theory. Do you even know what frequency is? I focus my attention towards the large, try-hard Art Nouveau posters hanging above the bar. By the way, I saw you had the t-shirt. That's great, Evelyn calls out to Matt, who's disinterestedly tearing up a beer coaster. A smile appears on his face. That's right, I've got the t-shirt. I can't wait till January. I scratch my chair a little more. The faces around me are a blur. I doze off for a moment. I'm passing out, man. You should drink something, a voice calls out to me. I sit up. It's Lars, who placed a new beer next to my half-full glass. Sure thing, I reply quietly as I take a sip and doze off again. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed. We're gonna pick up right from here next time. So we're gonna save in this empty slot. So we'll save that, and I will see you guys next time. Make sure you like, subscribe, push that bell icon so you get notified when I post a video. Also follow me on my other socials at Verge242. I have Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, if you want, you can check out my TikTok. Alright, that's all we have. That's all for today. See you guys next time. Roll that outro.